This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Well, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday. It's Friday, June 5th. We have made it to June. Um, as usual, it's so good to be here with you in this space. I have really been thinking a lot this week, and it feels like a lot of what's going to come through from Fireside today is kind of holding space for multifaceted feelings. Um, it's really, really been on my heart and mind this week how precious life is, how each and every one of us are here alive, experiencing um, a part of life. And when we are going through our lives, that many things happen in tandem, great joy and great pain, and everything in between, even the mundane, even the boring. Um, and I've really been struck by and reminded by how much we can experience if we're willing to be bold participants, to be able to experiment, explore, and feel fully into those dynamics that we're faced with. I've been reminded over and over again that kind of life and how we experience life, how each of us move through our life and see our lives is a kind of artistry. We all have unique lenses and experiences and cultures of origin that add different layers and dimensions to our experience, different kinds of seasonings and flavors. Um, and then also that we are conscious creators. I know that that's come forward again and again in Fireside, but I think it's important to continue being reminded that we have a lot of power as we go through this experience, that if we aren't enjoying the experience we're having, we can change the channel. We can change the frequency that we're tuning into. If we want or crave more participation in our life at any point in time, we can choose to jump in and have this experience in a different way. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it is experimenting with a new love, releasing something from our life that no longer feels like it's serving us, even if for a time it did, grieving something that we have lost, maybe not by choice, but by circumstance. And each and every single piece of these facets are part of what make our story grow and evolve. There are things there, I think, sometimes too, that are put in our path or that we actively choose, even if it's on a subconscious level, that maybe also keep us in seasons or prolong things where we might need a little longer or we feel like we need a little bit more information. I feel like the invitation right now is to release the pressure of the expectation of whatever season you're inside of. And that instead, you start really just studying and experimenting with things that make you feel contracted and things that make you feel expanded. And again, the things in between. Why do I find the mundane parts of my life, whatever that looks like, to be a bane of my existence? Or why does this person in line in front of me, why are they irritating me so much? Why are they triggering me? Um, and exploring what those things are producing in you as an active conversation and relationship. Because at the end, right, of this time, of this lifetime, we will have experienced this with our own body and our own soul. What a gift it is and an honor it is to be inside of the lives that we're in, even if also we are tired inside of the lives that we're in. Maybe for some of you too, it's time to release some of the pressure expectation that you're setting internally. Often too, if we're in a lot of resentment, A lot of times, at least from my perspective and my experience, and we're in a lot of resentment, it is simply too because we are taking on things that we are choosing to continue to carry without expressing or bringing in or changing and inviting people into conversation of how we need things to shift or change. And that takes energy too. And a lot of times, too, when we're tired or we're tapped out, it can feel like we don't have the bandwidth to do that. But I really do feel like right now, as we're headed into summer, it's really, really important that we communicate and take up the space that we need and articulate again what things we may need to shift or change, especially too for mamas who are at home right now. I know we've got some men listening. For most of us, though, most of us are mamas in this space, and a lot of you have kiddos at home for the summer, and that's another layer of demand. Um, uh, of an already demanding life, where life is also coming at us a lot of times in this modern world. The other thing I've been feeling to encourage us in is again to tune out of the places that are draining us. Stay off of social media, be out in nature. I've got this door open behind me. I wanted to sit outside, but it was just a little too breezy for my comfort. And I felt like it was just going to be distracting for me to feel comfortable, even though I'm enjoying cooler mornings right now because soon we won't have even the coolness in the morning there for a season, right? We're in the summer season. So finding ways too where you can find the marrow of the season that you're in. Even again, if it's not someplace that you like or necessarily want to be, but where can you find the beauty in this? What is this season teaching you? I was thinking about this quote this morning too. It was from Francis Heller, I think. And I just kept seeing like this person being stretched wide in this line. The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other and be stretched large by them, large by them. And again, thinking about the multifaceted experience that life is, where can we also find what is stretching us large to be also making room? Or making space, however we want to frame that. But what is this season producing in me? And what does that mean for me right now? Am I being invited or asked to make a change, to shift, to grow into a different arena? Or perhaps for some of you too, it's time for you to continue just speaking your truth of sharing how you're feeling with a broader audience, not just at home and in your lives, but also what is your soul craving to bring forward at this time? What does that look like? And a reminder too that no matter what is going on in the larger world, there will always be things that make it feel like we can't do or act or be in the season that we want. We can find all of the reasons for the limits. But the invitation today is you can find the reasons for the limits, notice the limits, find the patterns in them. They are still your friends, they are still teaching you. There's nothing to be afraid of there. But then also notice where you may want to shift out of the limit and into the expansion. Where is on the flip side of those things, can you also find some gumption or some energizing thoughts to think about what if I did lean out of the limit and into the expanse? What if I did believe that this thing on my heart to bring right now is meant for the world? Would that shift something for me? And if you are feeling like, again, I'm seeing like people talking, if you need to have conversations in your life or in your community, it could be a group that you're part of. Your voice is essential. You make up a large component of the places that you're inside of, and you bring change and love with you every single place that you go. And even if you have some things that you need to share that feel like they are going to cause friction or create that change, that is also for the whole. It's not just for you, it's for all of us. So, using your voice, bringing those dynamics into play is really important right now. I pulled a card for us today. It's from Earth Magic. And the card today is Clouds, Shape Shifting. Okay. When tiny droplets of water or frozen crystals are surrounded by billions of other droplets of crystals, a cloud is formed. Each of these tiny droplets diffuse and scatter light so that the tops of clouds are white, then fade to gray around the base. The nature of cloud formations affects our mood as well as the temperature on the ground and in the air. Their shape, movement, and coloration tell us what weather to expect in the near future, and they nourish our visual hunger during breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. Most of us had an opportunity at one time or another to notice the shapes and forms clouds take as they drift gently or boldly across the sky, constantly shifting and changing, adjusting themselves to the requirements of their nature. When we take time to simply observe, we can see the cloud people, images that are an elegant collaboration between nature and our imagination. In both subtle and more dramatic ways, you can shapeshift by your choice of clothing, hairstyle, adornments, and even mannerisms, such as facial expression, gestures, and the way you walk. By adjusting these along with your internal attitude, you can actually display different personas. When you experiment with these variations of self expression that are not how you ordinarily present yourself, others will react to you depending on the degree in which your persona contrasts with the one they are most familiar with. Be like the clouds as you try out different forms, stretching your limits at times, willing to move and adjust as necessary. Lift your head up, square your shoulders, and stand tall, such that your chest and heart open to the world, and note how this feels. You may feel vulnerable at first, but stay with it. Then let your shoulders fall forward slightly, pull your chest inward an inch or two, and let your head drop a little. Observe how this feels. Experiment with contracting your aura, your energy field, then expand it as far as you comfortably can. By this kind of shapeshifting, you can consciously choose your expression into the world. Just remember who you are at your core. And I love the card too because it's not a compliant card. Like I really love the invitation to lean into the multifaceted nature of all of the things that we hold. This is one of the reasons why playing dress up as little girls is also kind of fun. We get to adorn ourselves, pick the jewelry we want to wear, or the mud we want to cake our face in. Whatever that looks like for us, that as we explore and play, and lean into those different variations. I think there's an invitation there. And so maybe for some of you too, this means this could look like, well, hey, I'm going to go out and find an outfit that feels like a part of myself that I don't normally allow. And let this be something I get to put on and see how I feel in myself. You know, there are all of these things that we can do to feel what that feels like and experience those parts of ourselves that are there with us. And as you lean into those elements and aspects, you may be surprised to find more creative insights or things that you hadn't thought of, or even something from a different perspective, just by shifting what you're wearing or leaning into, like the card was even saying, those different personas, because we all have them. We all have a little vixen in us, a teacher, a kiddo, all of these different parts of us, right, that get to be felt and experienced. And I think too, when we allow that, sometimes when we make more space for the different pieces and sides of ourselves, we also get to bring them out in different arenas, in different ways that we're engaging the world. And that also feels nice because in a world I feel like that has trained us to be this is who you are. Usually it is by what you do. At least for us in the West, we're so classified by what is it that you do. And instead, it's like, but who are you? You could never be classified simply by what you do. And when most of us, not most of us here listening, but when a lot of the people in our lives are engaging or feeling like they're in the wrong roles, I can't tell you the percentage of people I encounter out in the world who are in the wrong job roles. And you experience it too, people who are working with front facing with customers. You're like, you need to be working with some products or somewhere else, maybe data or outside even. We've got people trapped indoors when they really need to be outside and vice versa. And a lot of this also comes down to that permission. If we will allow ourselves to experience those parts of ourself, that truth to come forward, those dynamics to be explored, then a lot of times too, that gets to come and play in a different way. It informs us differently and infuses our life differently if we'll let it. And so, as you head into this weekend, it might be fun to just think about, even also like, what could a role play look like for you? It could be in the bedroom, but it could also be in life. What does it look like to imagine, like, if I were to go and introduce my alter ego, what would that look like? Who would that be? What kind of space would she take? What would that look like? And it's fun to play with, but lean into that. Lean into some of that. Maybe it's going and find some costume jewelry. Not that these are costume, well, they kind of are costumey, but costume jewelry or things that are fun. You can get them at Claire's. You can go to Dollar Tree, don't really care. And maybe you bring your kiddos into this. Maybe you all get to have a summer costume of sorts. What do we want to don? Who do we want to be? What do we want to experience? What do we want to allow ourselves to experience so that we might know ourselves and our truth more and be able to live that out into the world each and every day? It's been so good to be here with you in this space. I am sending you so much love. I'll see you next week.